And it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. That's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., March 31st of 1968. Hello, everyone. This is Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I'm happy to be with you here on No Soundbites Allowed. And there's a few things that I want to go over and talk about because I think it's a very important thing. Silence does not make life better. Silence in the face of oppression, silence in the face of those who would want to cause people to submit, does not make people better. Call it appeasement, call it fear, call it cowardice, call it whatever you would like. But one thing is always true, and we see that with Dr. Martin Luther King in his statement. It's not going to make things better by being silent. Now, I start off with that for a very specific reason. That's why I'm here today. I've had a lot of people over the last several days, over the last nearly a week now, talk to me privately online, social media, emails, and tweets and messages and all of that, trying to say, well, Mike, why are you following this story about what's been happening at Binghamton University so much? Why is it that you're so involved in this story? Why is it you're trying to report so much about this? And I have to say, it's the same reason that Dr. Martin Luther King spoke up. The same reason that I use that quote. Because silence does not benefit anyone. The silence in the face of those who are bad, the silence of those who are good. And I'm not assigning good or bad to anyone, but that thought is clear. If we are silent, we don't help anyone. Nothing improves. Good people don't get to live better lives, and bad people don't stop living bad lives because of the silence of those who could affect that. And in this case, as in many cases, the silence we're talking about is that of the general public. The news media, on Thursday last week, on the 14th, the news media had no interest in covering this story about what was happening at Binghamton University. There were very few groups that were willing to say anything at all. The Binghamton Review did make comment. I made comment. And during that day, after the event, the Young American Foundation made comment. And people started to pay attention. People started to notice. And it's very important that they should pay attention because there's a lot that's going on. As the Binghamton Review announced, and I have previously shown in several videos, this was a targeted attack. 200 people were called together and to attack 3 people because those 3 students were out there making their voice heard, that they had an opinion, a point of view. Whether or not anyone agreed with it didn't matter. They were just sharing their voices according to the First Amendment. Now, I've seen many people say, oh, well, that was illegal. They shouldn't have been doing that. The First Amendment really isn't illegal. More importantly, that doesn't justify harassment, menacing, destruction of property and vandalism, stealing. It doesn't justify any of those things. So the reaction is inappropriate. The fact that there were members of government, elected officials at that event, or an elected official, I should say, at that event, does not justify what happened. And so it needed to be spoken about. We knew that, and I have reported since, that Monday there was going to be a protest by Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, otherwise known as P.L.O.T. And I tried to make people aware. I tried to make the news media aware. At that time, on Monday morning, I was shut down by WNBF as I was trying to address the issue that there were those in the community, as we have seen in many communities across the country, where individuals like P.L.O.T, Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, and other progressives have sought to silence anyone they don't like. And the media wasn't interested until Monday night when Dr. Laffer was able to get out 5 words and then was unceremoniously and horribly shut down by Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow in their attempt, and successful at that, to shut down any voice they didn't like. That's troubling. And so we should not be silent, because there is no reason to believe that this is going to stop. On Thursday, actually Friday of last week, this 15th, I believe it was, Binghamton University came out and accused the students, the 3 students who were voicing their opinion, that they were the cause of a mob action of 200 people. That's sad. And that statement, that appeasement, in my opinion, was taken by these far left radicals to be justification for their action, to go out and to shut down further voice, any other voice. And they did that. And, this isn't something I'm just making up, something I just thought of. This is a fact. This is a copy of the email that was sent out by Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow that I've received from several sources. And in that, they made a clear point. They were meeting for one purpose and one purpose alone: to go out and to disrupt, to silence people who had a different opinion. And they have plans to do it in other places as well, later today, as a matter of fact. Now, some would say, Mike, you shouldn't continue to have that conversation. You should just let them be. You shouldn't follow this up. I disagree with that opinion. I disagree strongly with that opinion. And what I do believe very strongly about this is that everyone should be involved. Everyone should have a voice. But that doesn't mean that you get to stop someone. When I was speaking about, on November 19th, I was speaking about P.L.O.T, and that they are a secret organization, and that this secret organization was trying to basically to try and deny that they were responsible, that they were trying to avoid the backlash for their actions. Well, when I said that, I also got a response, and I'm going to quote Mr. Ren Fanning, who said publicly, in somewhat vulgar terms, "Are you kidding me?" I have heard that the unknown secret members of P.L.O.T, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? I'm trying to say that no one knows who are the members of P.L.O.T. I'm saying that this is a secret organization that, by its own words, by its own statements, by its own documents, and bear with me as I'm trying to bring up the file again, that they are secretive, that they don't want people to know. If you look at this, they say, no cops, no on-duty press. That's a secret organization. No one knows who the members are. No one knows where they meet or who's in charge. That's a secret organization. And when secret organizations plan to disrupt the public, yes, I get concerned. And Mr. Fanning says, or Mrs. Fanning, I'm not quite sure from the image, says that, oh, this is terrible. This is horrible. That you can't say that. That this is something that will incite people. And I have to say, I disagree. I don't believe that by speaking out, you incite anyone. I think you need to speak up so that the people who are incited by the silence are stopped. And in this case, I mean P.L.O.T, Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow. Now, we've seen that there are, this was from the New York the New York Post. The members of the editorial board came out with a comment on November 19th, where they said directly that, and I want to get to the exact thing, message received. because on Monday, radicals moved to stop Laffer from speaking. He hadn't finished his first sentence when a disruption began, filibustering with a megaphone. Cops moved in, and a melee between police and, quote, activists ensued. Authorities escorted Laffer out, never to share his surely, quote, triggering thoughts on supply-side economics. Let's be clear here, they go on to say. The kids that shut down the tablers should face suspension. Those who stopped and invited guests from delivering his speech and fought with campus police should face expulsion. And Binghamton urgently needs to educate its entire student body and its administration in the basics of the First Amendment. The only proper response to proactive speech, or provocative speech, is to answer it with more speech. Violence, however, morally smug its authors, has no place on campus. And I agree with that statement from the New York Post. I believe it's correct when they said that on November 19th. And I believe this is part of that process. We must hold them accountable. We must ask our elected officials why they are being silent. Why are they not looking for this to be taken to its logical conclusion, which is to stop this from ever happening again, to prevent people from saying that you must be silenced, that you must submit to the will of a group of very few people because they say so, because they believe so. That's not a reason. That's not even close to a reason. And we should be very, very concerned about that. So I'm here talking about why I believe this is important. Why I believe we need to speak out. Because I have to tell you, I'm not hearing politicians speak out. I'm not hearing them speak out at all. Let's take a look at who I'm talking about. Representative Conrad Taylor. Oops. Let me fix that a little bit. Oh, wrong place. Representative Conrad Taylor in Binghamton University. I'm looking it up. He has no comments. Assemblywoman Donna Lapardo, looking for hers. No comments. Jason Garnar, no comments. And I can fix this in a second, but Anthony Brindisi, no comment. I'm using these individuals not as examples, but for the fact that there's a detail here. They should be called out. They're elected officials. We're talking about Binghamton City Council. We're talking about the New York State Assembly. We're talking about the county executive of Broome County. We're talking about Congressman of the New York 22nd District, Anthony Brindisi. They've got no comment. In fact, not even Governor Cuomo has made a comment. And again, I will go back to the New York Post and what they had to say. And the New York Post, in their article, actually this is an opinion, by Bob McManus, stating Cuomo's disgraceful silence on the outrages at SUNY Binghamton, which was written yesterday, November 20th. And in that, you would have, the comments are very clear that Governor Cuomo has nothing to say. Why not? Why can't he speak on this? You know, it does no good. In the opinion piece, he quotes, "Our institutions of higher learning are beacons of free speech, debate, expression, and discourse. These values are fundamental to our core mission," and so on and so forth. If that is true, and I believe that that is true, that our institutions are beacons of free speech, or at least that they should be, then we cannot be silent. I see the media is all over and speaking very much about Syracuse University and the fact that someone has been arrested there for putting out graffiti, vile graffiti, racist graffiti. How can they not speak about what's going on at Binghamton University? How can they not speak about the silence of free speech? How is it different? And how is it that we can't speak out? I want to share with you, as many people see up there, we have a text line or phone line, which is 242-1582. And we received a text from a parent. And that parent says, I worry about the 3 Republican students. I'm nervous for their safety, especially since the college seems against them. The social, quote, tweets seem threatening. We send our children to college so they can expand their minds, develop opinions, etc. One of the concerned parents. And there have been many concerned parents, many concerned alumni at Binghamton University, many people watching this, and they have the same concern. How can you be safe? How can their kids be safe at an institution that is willing to allow people to shut down the voices? Now, I reached out to the university, and I spoke with just a few moments ago before I came on, and I'll have more details about this, but I was speaking with Ryan Yarosh for Binghamton University, and he is the public spokesman, media relations for Binghamton University. And I confirmed that on Monday night, 2 individuals were arrested by the Binghamton University police. One was a student, one was not. That the student who had been arrested was the one disrupting the speech with the bullhorn, and that the non-student interfered with the police in trying to stop the situation. Now, we don't know whether these individuals were or were not members of P.L.O.T, though we do know P.L.O.T had every intention of being there. We don't know why the Vestal police, who were called to the scene to help with the near riot that was going on at Binghamton University on Monday night, why they were called off or who did so. We do know from various media reports that the event from P.L.O.T, with members like Masai, who had been arrested on Columbus Day at the Columbus Day Parade in Binghamton, a representative of P.L.O.T, were outside taking over the campus grounds at Binghamton University, and that this went on for quite some time. Why were the police turned away? Why were no other arrests made? We don't know. I do thank Ryan Laroche for answering my questions with the information that he had at hand, and I do plan to follow up to find out more of the answers for the things he didn't know how to answer for me. But it all comes back to the same thing. What's going on? Why don't we have answers? And how can we be silent? Now, I called out, and I want to be clear, I'm calling out Councilman Conrad Taylor. I'm calling out Assemblywoman Donna Lupardo, County Executive Jason Garnar, Representative Anthony Brindisi. Yes, all of them are Democrats. And yes, I do want to hear them, along with Governor Andrew Cuomo, in speaking up and saying that they do not support the actions of P.L.O.T, that they reject silencing of thought and speech, that they reject the actions of P.L.O.T and Antifa to protect the community, to protect the people, not only here in Binghamton, but across the entire state. Matter of fact, I'll even quote Governor Cuomo. The hateful activities at Syracuse University, and we can say anywhere, are most disturbing, not only to the Syracuse University community, but to the greater community of New York. They have not been handled in a manner that reflects the state's aggressive opposition to such odious, reckless, reprehensible behavior. And that is some tough language there. But I ask you this, how is Binghamton University any different? How does the actions of P.L.O.T and the radical, fanatical left any different? What is the difference? There isn't one. In fact, the only difference is that Governor Cuomo and many Democrats and even Republican Chairman Bijoy Data have remained silent, that they won't speak on this. And that's not good for the community. Now, a lot of people may say, Mike, you just don't get it. Maybe. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should just be silent. Maybe I should just sit in a corner and be cowed. I won't. I believe this is an important issue. I believe this is an issue that doesn't just affect Binghamton University. It doesn't just affect Broome County, This affects all of New York State and all of the nation. And I think that if we are silent, if we allow this to just pass on by as a news story, a news cycle that's already passed us, that it will continue to get worse. That more and more we will see this. And as I had mentioned previously, that we will see Binghamton, New York, and many other communities become like Portland, with violent gangs running through the streets, trying to force people into submission because they feel like they are right. And I'm speaking specifically about P.L.O.T and Antifa. So yes, I am speaking out about this. I will continue to speak out about this, and I'm not going to stop. Oh, I do have a caller here. Hello, this is Michael. Can you hear me? Oh, 1 second. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Caller?
John Restuccia.
Oh, hey. Hi, John. Oh, I know why.
Thought you might want to call. Oh, Mike.
Okay, that's a little better. Oops, the system was a little bit off. Hi, John.
Hey, how are you, Mike?
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to, I don't know if you've caught the whole thing what I'm doing here.
I've been watching it. I've been watching it steadily. Just wanted to chime in and tell you you're doing a great job and kind of, I'm sure you wanted a first-hand account of what's been going on and everything like that before my Fox News appearance tomorrow night.
Well, yes, I know you're going to be on Fox News, and this is going to continue the story, and I think it's important. And I know Sunday we're going to be speaking with some of the other college Republicans, but definitely, for those who don't know, John Restuccia, one was an intern of mine, but two is a student at Binghamton University, and three is the president of the college Republicans. So please go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just want to thank you for getting our story out there because the school's response has been non-existent, as you probably have seen. I mean, and I have to thank YAF for putting on Dr. Laffer for at least attempting to, and for stepping in and protecting our First Amendment because Binghamton University clearly does not want to do that.
Apparently they do not. Oops. Sorry, I got something on my screen. They apparently don't want to have this conversation going on for a long period of time. I know that in speaking with the university today, as I said, with Ryan Yarosh, they were a little hesitant to allow any information to go out because they were afraid of what might be said, or at least that's the indication I got from speaking with him. I don't want to misquote him or put words in his mouth. But I did hear he had a great deal of hesitation when I asked why the Vestal police were turned away. His answer was, why do you need to know that? Why is that important? I think it's very important.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. And I just have a question. Where's Harvey Stenger for all this, the president of the university? How come he hasn't issued a statement yet?
An official statement by the president of the Binghamton University, who has been called and requested to have comment by no less than Assemblyman Doug Smith out of Long Island. And yet we hear nothing from the head of the presidency. Although, again, Governor Cuomo called out the president of Syracuse University. Again, where is this? Why is it like that? Where's the consistency here? I don't understand it.
There is none. I mean, there's no consistency because he knows we're a college Republicans group. Do you remember what he said a couple of years ago? New York has no place for conservatives, and he still believes that clearly.
Apparently. And it would make sense that in 2000, I believe that was 2014, that Governor Cuomo said, if you're a conservative, get out of New York. I'm paraphrasing his words there. And they have. But yet for those who are still here, those who are students, it seems he's more than willing to allow the far left, the radical left, to attack, to assault, to threaten, to harass and menace. And I think that's wrong. And I think we need to call them out. And we have to say, stop being silent. Harvey Stenger, stop being silent. The elected officials, stop being silent. Speak up. If you disagree with this, speak out. And if you don't, tell your constituents that you believe that what happened with P.L.O.T and the progressive left, that you believe in that. I know Councilman Conrad Taylor has said that. I've shown the tweet where he confirms that he believes in that support, that 200 against 3 to silence their voices and destroy their property. He was okay with that. I want to hear what Assemblywoman Donna Pardo, County Executive Jason Garnar, Representative Anthony Brindisi, what they believe. I've spoken with all of them for years. I don't believe that they agree with that, but until I hear their words, I don't know that.
Couldn't agree more. I just could not agree more with what you're saying. And I mean, you have to laugh at Plot's response to this as well. I mean, pretending that it wasn't them because they couldn't find parking, it's rather humorous in a way. Despite the fact that we have proof that it was on their calendar, we have their logo in the corner of posters saying to protest our event, the fact that they wore Plot masks and hoodies that had Plot's logo on it.
Yeah, and I've shown it before, and I'm showing again the comments that I were making on November 19th and the backlash that some people gave about that, saying that they thought it was too much to speak about this, that it's okay for Plot to deny something that they absolutely did. That they, and I've shown earlier in the video, the very email from Plot saying that this is what they wanted to do. And I'll show it again. That Plot is saying, hey, they're more than willing to go out and disrupt, to silence voices, that was their intention. And yet they want to say, oh, no, they're innocent. Again, this is why we can't be silent, to allow them to retreat.
And they have the protest plan tonight over the new, I believe it is the legislature's policy about harassing first responders in an incident or on the scene. I mean, they're clearly anti-first responders. I mean, this policy would not only affect police, but this would affect firemen and EMTs to keep them safe. And they plan on having their own little press conference outside the legislature building.
Which is fine.
Yep, fine, absolutely. But it's the nerve of the kind of people, and it kind of shows their true colors.
Well, I think when they say that they're going to events to disrupt, to cause havoc, to cause chaos, to harass and menace individuals, and to try and silence people who don't share their points of view, I think that's very important. I think it's very important for us to be aware of that that's what these people are looking for. And when I say these people, I mean Plot. I mean the radical fringe far left. I don't believe Democrats believe that. I don't believe most people in America believe that. But I believe this sliver of the Democratic Party, that they don't care what other people think. They just want people to do what they say.
Absolutely. And I mean, it'll be interesting going forward to see Plot's reaction to this. And, I know they watch your show. We both know that.
I've heard their comments. I've seen their text in their comments, so I know they listen.
Absolutely. And I know your show's been blowing up quite a bit recently with all the news coverage and everything like that. So that's why I decided to call in to give you a little bit of an exclusive interview and my thoughts on everything going on. Specifically, like I said, with this new bill being passed, I see nothing wrong with it. And everyone goes, well, this is stifling free speech. This is protecting officers and EMTs and firemen at the scene of a crime or at the scene of an accident.
Well, and I need to mention to people that Plot is planning to be there early to try and disrupt that and to protest.
4:15, they said.
4:15, yeah, according to other emails that I've received. And yes, Plot, I get your emails. Just one of those things. I have sources in every organization in Central New York.
Absolutely, as you do, as a good reporter and journalist does.
Yeah. And I should clarify, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. I am a member of the press. I am a political commentary. But I have sources everywhere. And they tell me about things. And I'm looking forward to seeing, and I hope that this will be peaceful. I hope that Plot will not, again, go out to try and disrupt and intimidate people from being able to share their voices. It's one thing to protest. It's another thing to intimidate people, to remove their rights.
And menace, absolutely. And that's their tactics. And I think they know that because if you watch the videos and everything, they try to intimidate these officers and everything like that. And I think this new policy would absolutely hurt them overall. And I think they know that.
Well, we're going to see what that policy does. And I haven't read the entire policy on it.
Absolutely.
I want to read it first. But I think it's very important that we all understand we can't be silent. We can't be silent in the face of people who are willing to go to these extremes to deny us our rights, to deny us our freedoms, to impose their will upon us. We can't. We have to stand up to that. That is fascism. And we need to stand up against that, because they may want to feel like they are doing the right thing. That doesn't mean they are. And the only way we can be sure that they don't get to have more power and to take away more of our freedom and to cause more fear mongering is to stand up and say, we don't agree and we will not support you and we will fight against you legally against that. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. And I just want to thank you for having me on your show and allowing me to call in, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. And I hope that you're going to come in after you get done with Fox News tomorrow, maybe on Sunday, to speak with us and tell us how that experience was. And we're definitely going to be watching Fox News tomorrow. Which program is it going to be on?
It is the Friday show, 7 p.m. Martha McCallum, I believe it is.
The morning show? Okay. With Martha
7
McCallum?
p.m.
7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to be live in the studio?
They're sending someone to get me, so whatever that means, we're still have no idea about the process. All I know is they invited me on national Fox News, and I said, absolutely, I want my story out there, and it's people like you who are pushing it. And because I think the scary thing about all of this is none of this would have happened if we hadn't recorded it and shared it. None of this would have happened, and they would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, it would never have gotten as far. And I also have to give a shout out to the Binghamton Review, which many media sources have not given credit to, and I have, and I want to do it again, in that they've provided the proof, one of the first pieces of proof, along with the video, that showed that this was a targeted action of the radical left for the only purpose of silencing voices. This wasn't about guns. This wasn't about whether it was legal or illegal tabling. This was about silencing the free speech of someone they don't like, saying things they don't approve of. And it will be anyone next if we allow them to continue to go forward.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Michael. All right, and you have a good one today.
You too. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Yes, folks, you can call in to the program, and I have another call, but that's on a separate phone, so I'm not going to get that right now. I'm not sure. That's a different phone. But for those who do want to call in, you always have the opportunity. Now, I've been on a little bit longer than I expected to be, and I'm looking forward to seeing even more comments and even more thoughts, and I'm just checking if there are any other messages. But please, let us know your thought. Do you believe that the best thing to do to fight groups that would silence free speech, to combat groups that would cause you to submit, that want you to do nothing but answer to them, think only what they approve, say only what they approve? Do you think the best way to answer that is with silence, or do you think it's to speak out? Because I think it's to speak out. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. And I'm going to end this on the same way I started this. And I'm going to read what Dr. Martin Luther King said on March 31st in 1968. And it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. Yeah, the silence of people who need to speak up. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you all again at least on Sunday, if not sooner. Thank you.